Apple was founded on April 1st, 1976 by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne to sell Apple I personal computer kits. Apple was incorporated January 3rd, 1977 without Wayne, who sold his share of the company back to Jobs and Wozniak for $800. During the first 5 years of operations, revenues grew exponentially, doubling about every 4 months. By the end of the 1970s, Apple had a staff of computer designers and a production line. On December 12, 1980, Apple went public at $22 per share, generating more capital than any IPO since Ford Motor Company in 1956 and immediately creating 300 millionaires. In 1984, Apple launched the Macintosh, the first personal computer to be sold without a programming language. In 1985, a power struggle developed between Jobs and CEO John Sculley, who had been hired 2 years earlier. Sculley found out that Jobs had been attempting to organize a coup and called for a board meeting at which Apple's board of directors sided with Sculley and removed Jobs from his managerial duties. Jobs resigned from Apple and founded Next Inc. the same year. The Christmas season of 1989 was the first in the company's history that saw declining sales and led to a 20% drop in Apple's stock price. Later, in 1990, Apple introduced 3 lower-cost models, the Macintosh Classic, Macintosh LC, and Macintosh 2 SI, all of which saw significant sales due to pent-up demand. In 1991, Apple introduced the PowerBook, replacing the luggable Macintosh Portable with a design that set the current shape for almost all modern laptops. Apple also experimented with a number of other unsuccessful consumer-targeted products during the 1990s, including digital cameras, portable CD audio players, speakers, video consoles, the eWorld online service, and TV appliances. Enormous resources were also invested in the problem-plagued Newton division based on John Sculley's unrealistic market forecast. Ultimately, none of these products helped, and Apple's market shares and stock prices continued to slide. At this time, a series of major product flops and missed deadlines sullied Apple's reputation, and Sculley was replaced as CEO by Michael Spindler. In 1994, Apple allied with IBM and Motorola in the AIM alliance with the goal of creating a new computing platform, which would use IBM and Motorola hardware coupled with Apple software. In 1996, Spindler was replaced by Gil Amelio as CEO. Amelio made numerous changes at Apple, including extensive layoffs and cut costs. Amelio chose to purchase Next and its Next Step operating system and bring Steve Jobs back to Apple. The Next deal was finalized on February 9th, 1997, bringing Jobs back to Apple as an advisor. On July 9th, 1997, Amelio was ousted by the board of directors after overseeing a 3-year record low stock price and crippling financial losses. Jobs acted as interim CEO and began restructuring the company's product line. It was during this period that he identified the design talents of Jonathan Ive, and the pair worked collaboratively to rebuild Apple's status. On August 15th, 1998, Apple introduced a new all-in-one computer reminiscent of the Macintosh 128K, the iMac. The iMac design team was led by Ive, who would later design the iPod and the iPhone. Mac OS X was released on March 24, 2001, after several years of development and aimed to combine the stability, reliability, and security of Unix with the ease of use afforded by an overhauled user interface. On October 23, 2001, Apple debuted the iPod portable digital audio player. The product, which was first sold on November 10, 2001, was phenomenally successful with over 100 million units sold within 6 years. In 2003, Apple's iTunes Store was introduced. The service offered online music downloads for 99 cents a song and integrated with the iPod. The iTunes Store quickly became the market leader in online music services with over 5 billion downloads by June 19th of 2008. On January 10th, 2006, the new MacBook Pro and iMac became the first Apple computers to use Intel's Core Duo CPU. By August 7th, 2006, Apple made the transition to Intel chips for the entire Mac product line. Between early 2003 and 2006, the price of Apple stocks increased more than tenfold, from around $6 per share to over $80. During his keynote speech at the Macworld Expo on January 9th, 2007, Steve Jobs announced that Apple Computer Inc. would therefore be known as Apple Inc. because the company had shifted its emphasis from computers to consumer electronics. This event also saw the announcement of the iPhone and the Apple TV. In July 2008, Apple launched the App Store to sell third-party applications for the iPhone and iPod Touch. October 2008, Apple was the third largest mobile handset supplier in the world due to the popularity of the iPhone. After years of speculation and multiple rumored leaks, Apple unveiled a large-screen tablet-like media device known as the iPad on January 27, 2010. In June of 2010, Apple released the iPhone 4, which introduced video calling, multitasking, and a new uninsulated stainless steel design that acted as the phone's antenna. On August 24, 2011, Jobs resigned his position as CEO of Apple due to health reasons. He was replaced by Tim Cook, and Jobs became Apple's chairman. On October 5, 2011, Steve Jobs died, marking the end of an era for Apple. From 2011 to 2012, Apple released the iPhone 4S and iPhone 5, which featured improved cameras, an intelligent software assistant named Siri, and cloud-sourced data with iCloud. The third and fourth generation iPads, which featured Retina displays, and the iPad mini, which featured a 7.9-inch screen in contrast to the iPad's 9.7-inch screen, were also introduced. On September 9, 2014, Apple introduced the iPhone 6 alongside the iPhone 6 Plus that both have screen sizes over 4 inches. 1 year later, Apple introduced the iPhone 6s and iPhone 6s Plus, which introduced a new technology called 3D Touch, increased the rear camera to 12 megapixels and the FaceTime camera to 5 megapixels. On March 21st, 2016, Apple introduced the iPhone SE that has a 4-inch size screen that was last used with the 5S and has the same internal hardware as the 6S. On September 7th, 2016, Apple introduced the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 7 Plus, which feature improved system and graphic performance, a new rear dual camera system on the iPhone 7 Plus model, and controversially removed the 3.5mm headphone jack. And now you're up to date on a brief history of Apple.